Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Monday Night Ignite. If you're new with us, the first hour at 7 p.m. Eastern time, for example, is going to be on health and wellness. And then the second hour at 8 p.m. Eastern time is going to be over pursuing young living as a business and tips. And that means you are a brand partner. If you're not a brand partner, but you want to hear more, you're welcome to stay on and listen. And these calls are recorded. So if you found out about this in like your personal group from somebody, then you'll be able to find those links there. But also they are on the Grow group that's run by Jill OnCall. And you'll find all the recordings there always by Friday of this week. Usually they're there beforehand though. So we want to thank Dr. Doug Corrigan for speaking to us right now. If you're just new coming on the call, he did put his link in the chat that you are more than welcome to see about some of his products that he offers on health and wellness and young living's products. He is a professional who knows the science, and it's just amazing information. And then today we have Dr. Starr speaking with us, and she's going to be going through what she calls her AHA breakthrough. She has been with Young Living for 23 years. She is a diamond with Young Living. And whether you're old time brand partner or someone new, she has developed a sustainable growth through her AHA program, and she's going to be teaching about that tonight. But right before I show that, I want to show you about the future class next Monday that she will be doing on health at 7 p.m. Eastern. That totally correlates with what Dr. Dr. Corrigan, Doug Corrigan, just shared with us as well. And let me just show you this picture because it's literally amazing. Dr. Starr has worked extremely hard at being proactive and making great choices. So she will be teaching once again next week. She's released 50 pounds, learn 5 things that will help you lose weight with products that can support your health and weight management, and tune in for her secrets of doing this next week. Anything else you'd like to add to this photo real quick before we get started?
No, I'm excited to be here both weeks. Thank you so much for the invite.
Oh, well, thank you. Goodness. Okay, let me get you going here, and thank you, and you may go ahead.
Awesome. And may I share a screen? Am I allowed to do that?
Yep, you sure can.
Yay. Well, thank you so much, Stacy, Danette, Jill, and all the wonderful brainchilds behind this amazing every Monday night. This is awesome. This is awesome. If we've never met before, I am Mary Starr Carter. I've been a Young Living person for 23 years, 22 years actually doing the business of Young Living. And I've got my 5 ahas that should help you tonight. So if you are ready to build the business, give me a little thumbs up here, a little something in the chat and stuff, because we are going to build what I like to call our business muscles right here. So, okay. And then I'm going to give you a tip tonight too about building momentum in 15 minutes a day. Oh, wait, let me go all the way back. Who are you talking to? Who are we? Who am I? Like Stacy said, I have been a member for 23 years. I've been holding the rank of diamond every single month since 2014. Now, why is it important that you know who I am, a little bit about me? Because we are all different. We all build businesses different. We all have different backgrounds. And it's important that you remember that tonight's a buffet table. I want you to take what you want and leave what you don't, okay? Hopefully you have a notebook, you have something to write on, or you come back to this and listen again, because I want you to leave with one of those, like, okay, this was a piece that Mary Starr left that I don't want to do that in my business. I don't want to make that mistake. I want you to leave with one of those. I am a retired chiropractor. I'm a homeschool mom. I'm grooming 2 kids right now for success. I like to see one of who is on the autistic spectrum. I lived a lot of places in the United States, and I am currently a Yankee living in the southern state of Mississippi, which I love this state absolutely so much, so much, so much, so much. How many of you got to convention? I hope you did. I hope you watched the virtual convention at least. It was such an amazing, amazing experience. Here's some individuals who, some who had never been to convention or hadn't been for many years. So it was great to be with so many of them. Okay, well, where's my story start? Here's a beautiful, cute picture of me and my husband many years ago. And my Young Living story starts in a very dark time in my life. I was in chiropractic school at the time, and my family life was falling apart. There was divorce. I was flunking out of school, like I said. I was probably in just a very heavy, just darkness, if you could understand that. I wasn't sleeping well. I was very overweight. And this doctor friend of mine, this chiropractor friend, she said, you need to meet this lady, Kathy. And Kathy was this, bright, passionate mom with these little bottles of oils. And she's like, you got to try these. And I noticed that Kathy's family, they worked from sun up to sundown. They were so healthy. They were so vibrant. So I tried them. And guess what oil I tried? Valor, right? What we called in chiropractic school, chiropractor in a bottle. And immediately I started sleeping better. I started feeling better. This heaviness just kind of left my shoulders, and the light just started shining again in my life. I kid you not. I kid you not that I got such good results. I started sharing with so many people. I shared with about 25 people that first year using the oils. And 2 of those people actually started sharing themselves. And I got $100 commission check. I was so excited because I was living on food stamps and government assistance at that time. And I went to Kathy, my mentor and my upline, and I said, Kathy, what if we do this as a business? And she was like, okay, but I don't know what to do. And I said, I don't know either, but we need to write our goals. And she's okay. So we wrote down our goals. At that time, Kathy was living in a double wide trailer on 3/4 of an acre. Like I said, I was on government assistance and food stamps. And we wrote down our goals, and I printed them out. They were all uncolored. And one of my goals was to be able to pay my monthly student loan bill, which would be over $1,000 a month by the time I graduated chiropractic school. Now, Kathy and I, we didn't know much more about business than that, but we knew we had to share with people, and that's what we did. And in 18 months, not knowing anything about the business, except we had to get in front of people, we had to share, I was earning over $1,000 a month. I had that, what would be known as the silver rank. And Kathy, who one of her goals was to have a new home and live on 100 acres. She was living on 96 acres and had a brand new home with all the fruit trees and the gardens and everything she wanted. So it's a beautiful story of how it started, but there's a lot of mistakes that I've made along the way in these 23, and there's a lot of these light bulb moments that I want to share with you. Okay, so the first thing that happened for me was about 4 years into it, I had achieved the rank of silver, and it was my first what I call burnout. Anyone experienced that before? You can raise your hand or let me know privately in the chat. Have you ever experienced burnout before? It's usually when you feel exhausted, you're kind of doing so much in your business, but it's probably plateaued, or maybe it's going down, and just like you feel like you're done. You're like, you almost want to give up. And that's where I was in 2004 until I got a network marketing mentor. She came into my life actually through Young Living, through a man named Jeffrey Lewis, who was hosting her in New Jersey. And then Young Living actually hosted her for a convention. And she taught me the business we were in, network marketing, and how it worked, and that I needed to have some tools that were duplicatable so that these customers and clients and other people wanted to do the business could follow a system, write that down, and actually have success. So I started implementing that pretty much right away in 2004, and boom, I jumped right up to the gold rank because everyone could follow this system. It was really fun. And it just made life so much easier. Understanding this principle of what business we're in is network marketing. This is by far the best book out there, I feel, on what actually network marketing is. It's really good for you to read, as well as anyone thinking about doing this as a business. So super fun, super, super fun. So here I am. I'm probably about 30-ish at this time. And I think I'm making all this great money in Young Living. And I'm excited about Young Living, more excited than I was my chiropractic practice. And I decide to actually retire and shut my doors. And I'll tell you a quick story about that. I must have been 30, 31 at the time. And I go up to Gary and I go, Gary, thank you so much for Young Living. It's allowed me to retire. I could leave my chiropractic practice. And he looked at me straight in the eyes. I got to look at you. Let me pause the share here so you can see me. But he looked at me. Let me see. I can see you. He looked at me straight in the eyes, and I'll look at you. And he said, young lady, there is no such thing as retirement. We don't retire in Young Living. And he was, and I think I probably was a little offended because I didn't really grasp what he meant, because we always work, we always share, no matter how old we are, where we are in the world. There's always an opportunity to share with others. And it was humbling and awesome at the same time. It was very, very awesome. But at that time in my life, I had so much excitement for the business. I really didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. And one of the things I didn't know that I'll share with you is that not everyone is meant or wants to do this business, even though they may, right? Not everyone wants what I want. Not everyone qualifies for what I have. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me give you an example of Becky. I was hosting a garage sale, or I was having a garage sale. And of course, I had my Young Living products out too, because we can share anywhere, right? And this woman, Becky, came by and she was very interested. And I found out she was very broke. And then I later found out that she was homeless. And I said, oh, well, you need this business. You need to work this business with me. And because I didn't know my own weaknesses in my own personality, I basically created I did create a very codependent relationship with this woman who not only didn't really want what I wanted, she did not qualify for what I had. I thought that getting her into the business or having her read some of the books or listen to, at that time, I was probably listening to Wayne Dyer, and I had Gary's tapes. Those were tapes back then that we had. I was listening to him all the time, but he didn't understand. And that was a very unhealthy relationship for about 2 years, because I was always wanting to help this person, even letting them live in one of the properties that we had, aside my office. And I just learned, and I've learned that sadly many, many times, whether it's a mom, a new young mom who I see maybe needs money, like you see needs, maybe you see needs like I see needs. So you say, well, I have the solution, or maybe it's the product. You could say this too for the clients that you serve. Not everyone wants what I want. Not everyone qualifies for what I have. I used to have this saying on my wall, and it said, we are looking for people who not only want our opportunity, but upon finding it, will do something about it. Let me say that one more time. We are looking for people who not only want our opportunity, but upon finding it, will actually do something about it. Because how many, raise your hand or let me know in the chat, how many of you have had someone who said, yes, I want this. Yes, I want this. Yes, I want this. But their actions don't match, right? Their actions don't match. And that was, I couldn't see that. I couldn't see that. I just wanted to help everyone. I wanted everyone to get that paycheck, everyone. I just wanted it for everyone. I just couldn't accept that some people didn't want what I had. So in 2007, I ended up in another burnout, like exhausted, ready almost to quit. And I absolutely know that God opened a door at that time in my life. to give me something that I need, and that was skill development. I have this. What do you mean I need skills? I didn't know what I didn't know, that I needed skills, not just skills of learning network marketing and how to have tools and closing and all that, but I needed a whole bunch of tools, especially those of you who have a young living career goal income. What I mean by that, career goal income, in my opinion, now this is my personal opinion, is gold and above. Okay, career level income, gold and above, or if you want to maintain a good silver paycheck, you need skills. You even need them at any level. Well, what were some of the skills I need? Well, why was I burned out? I didn't understand time management. And in fact, I've learned in these past few years something called capacity management. Capacity management. Let me tell you about financial stewardship, right? How can God bless you if you don't know how to steward the money you already have? And this was my husband and my life. I'll tell you another quick story. It was 2015, and we are on stage with a bunch of leaders. Some are diamonds, maybe one or two are platinums. Some are brand new diamonds. Some of them been in the business as long as us. And we're looking around, we're like, what award? It was called Historical Award. Maybe Danette, you remember that. And the announcer says, these individuals all up here have earned $1 million with Young Living. $1 million. And my husband and I, we turn to each other and we turn green. We literally turn green because we're like, where did that money go? Well, it went to people like Becky because I provided for her housing. It went, and I'm not saying, the giving and all those things were a bad thing, but I did not know how to steward money. When I graduated chiropractic school and started my own practice, I was between my husband and I, we were in $250,000 in debt. And even though we had this great paycheck, even all the way to 2007, we had this great paycheck, we were going $1,000 in debt every single month. But thank goodness in 2007, we found a training that gave us not only financial stewardship, relationship, personality, communication skills, parenting, conflict resolution, like it was all in one piece. And I trained and I took a hold, my husband and I took a hold of that from 2007 all the way to 2010. And not only did we get our marriage right, because our marriage was like in the toilet back then. Yes, that can happen. Even when you make good money, you may not steward it well. You may not have a happy marriage. Like all of these things came together once I got my marriage right. I got my relationship right with, for me, in my belief system, my Lord and Savior. Like everything started to come into place. And even though my business was plateaued for a few years while we healed our marriage, and then all of a sudden we wanted to have kids. I never had wanted to have kids. Now I wanted to have kids, all of these things happened. We started our family in 2007. By 2010, I took my hours from 60 hours a week down to less than 20 hours a week. And when we had children, I would take 6 months off at a time. So that learning to stop being in the hustle, right? Learning to stop being, a lot of us are learning about this hustle lately, learning to heal, learning to set priorities, stop being addicted to the busy, right? Doing things, feeling like I had to do all of these things because everybody else was, trying to please everyone, trying to perform, right? I was selling health, but I was spiraling in a downward health crisis. And I'm so grateful that I just really dived into these life skills and these things that you see here, because not only did it heal my marriage, my business grew from a stalled out gold all the way back up to platinum to earning over $10,000 a month. And then over the next 4 years, when I would be having kids, I would be taking 6 months off at a time, we would grow to diamond. How is that possible? And I truly believe, I mean, it was God's blessing because we got our priorities right. We dove into some good training, relationship training, all of these things. Okay. So am I allowed to ask to take questions? Yes. Okay. Helen says yes. All right. So was there any questions on what I've shared so far before? Because I want to make sure you're following me and you've got some of those ahas. What was the first? Patty says, what was the training? The training was by Destiny Global. It's called First Steps to Success. That's the live trainings. And then they have something called Life Map where you can take it in little chunks. So if you search Destiny Global, First Steps to Success, and then look for their Life Map training. How did you find a mentor to match your needs? God just really opened a door to that mentor for me at that time. I think one of the mistakes sometimes we make is we look for somebody who's exactly like us, right? Maybe if you're a homeschool mom, you want to learn from another homeschool mom, and that sometimes can take you to a level, but to grow, like for me in this season, I am getting coached by Richard Bliss Brooke because he is very different than me. I'm sitting under male mentorship because I want to attract more men into my business. I want to stretch myself. So this is the season that I'm currently in. So you have to look at that. Any other questions I missed? Destiny Global, okay. Okay, all right. So understand what network marketing is, right? Understand that not everyone wants what you want. Understand that we need skills and we need a lot of different skills. You know, I share this because I know a lot of women out there. I've had 6 miscarriages in this season of my life in Young Living. You know, those were hard. My husband had a horrific accident. I know Danette knows about this, where he fell off a cliff and he almost died. He was in the hospital for 21 days in Stanford Hospital. I've had 3 cross-country moves. You know, I've had a lot of loss. I've had a lot of transition. And those are things that if you don't get training, if you don't grief recovery, you know, codependency, help, support. I'm so grateful for the Young Living community because I did have a good amount of support. I'm very grateful for the Destiny Global community because I had people praying for me and through all of these seasons. So it's important. I think that's one of the things we forget about Young Living. I mean, the paychecks are great, but the community is phenomenal. All right. So next up, let's talk about the power of focus. The power of focus. Now, what do I mean by that? The power of focus. Anybody want to come off of mute? What do I mean by focus? Maybe you can't come off of mute. I don't know.
Concentrating.
Concentrating. All right. Well, let's talk about focus. For those of you who are serious about growing a business beyond paying for your products, right? And we all know we need $300 or more for all the products we really want in Young Living. So if you really want to grow a $1,000 consistent paycheck or above, and with each level you go, there is power in focus. And I'm going to talk about this next week when I talk about weight loss. I didn't get this concept until most recently because my Young Living career, I am not a super recruiter. I never have been. I am a onesie twosie. That means I enroll on average 1 to 2 people a month when I've been working in my business. My top month was 16 people when I did like some kind of fundraising thing, because that's, you know, what I'm passionate about. And most recently working with Richard, I had my highest like good month without a lot of extra work was about 6 people that I enrolled in a month. So what's that mean? What does that mean about me? But I have been consistent over time. I've been consistent over time, and I have been focused for seasons of time. So getting to silver was this focused, I did one class, I hosted one class, I gave one class per week, right? If you follow Sarah Harnish's game plan, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that's what I did before there was a game plan. And that's how I grew to silver. Once I got those systems and duplicatable systems, that's how I grew to gold, right? So there's a power in focus, but there's also something called the focus phase and the freedom phase. So when you look at the income disclosure and you make a decision that you want to hit the rank of gold, you know that that's going to allow you to breathe a little bit. Maybe your hairdresser who, like my friend April, she wants to keep cutting back her hours so that she can really just work maybe 1 or 2 days in the salon, be with her grandkids, work Young Living one day. You know, that's her goal. So she knows that she has to be focused every single week in her business. You know, yes, she can take some weeks off, but every single week she has to be focused for, like Richard says, the 4-year career, right? For 2 to 4 years consistently. Because once she does that, if she can focus, just like I focused for 7 or 8 months to lose those 50 pounds, I was very focused. I did not have cheat days, right? I followed a plan. If you follow a plan and you focus, a plan that works, you got to make sure you're following a plan that works. If you follow a plan that works, right, for a season of time, you will have freedom on the other side. Now, does that mean, like, lately I have been having a little bit too much freedom with my diet and my sleep and all the things that Dr. Doug was talking about, a little bit too much freedom, and I see some wavering, right? Now I can still have freedom, but I still have to have some level of consistency in my business, consistency, whether it's my diet or any of that. I hope that makes sense, because so many times I hear people, whoa, I'm hosting a class in September. And I'm like, that's wonderful, but it doesn't match your goal. Your goal is that you said you wanted to be silver by December. So if you want to be silver by December, then you need to be doing so many presentations a week, right? You need to be getting in front of new people and letting them listen to your story and seeing if they want to, whether it's host a class or meet with you one-on-one, all of those things consistently. So that's the power of focus. I know I was spending a lot of time on it, but it's probably the biggest aha that you have in this presentation. And then that really leads into keep it simple and watch it grow. Keep it simple and watch it grow. And I didn't realize, because I was still developing my skills in the beginning when I was growing from silver to gold, that the simpler I kept it, the easier it flowed. And I didn't see that until I got a person on my team who is another diamond, who a lot of you know, her name is Sarah Harnish. And I watched something in Sarah's team. I watched them use a proven duplicatable system called game plan, proven duplicatable system. I watched person after person, coupled with skill development. Hundreds of those people went to Destiny Global's for Step Success. So you couple those things, people bettering their skills and using a duplicatable system. And all of these people very, very quickly ranked to silver, ranked to gold, where my platinums that are on my, say, diamond from me to Sarah, the platinums that I have, took 10 years, 15 years, where the platinum Sarah has, platinum, silvers, golds, as she has, did it much quicker because they had a very simple system, right? A very simple system. hopefully that makes sense to you. Okay, before I go on, is there any questions? Okay, nothing, lots of smiles, good. Okay, all right, so let's finish up and I'm going to give you, my husband has 100 questions, he says. Oh, good, Doris. Well, if he's brave enough, he could ask them. You could come off of mute and you could ask them, but let me finish up and I'll come back to questions. All right, I'm going to give you something very powerful for your business. Okay. 15 minutes a day to momentum. Fall in love with the products and craft your story. Anytime anyone wants to even consider doing this as a business, wouldn't you agree it's important that they don't have to love all our products, but they have a good experience, one that they can share with at least one of our products. And that was mine. Do you remember that story I told you in the beginning with those little miracles in a bottle? And I told you about that oil Valor, right? Valor sold me. Young Living changed my life. Ask me how. This is a cute shirt that one of our gold team members had made. So what sold you? Put in the chat what oil, product, Ninja, what product sold you? Let me see. Gary sold you, let's see, Digest, Ninja Thieves, lots of Ninja. Thieves Cleaner, Valor, another Valor, Bernice, Progescence, frankincense, cedarwood. So I guess Nicole and Elizabeth with Peace and Calming. And those of you who have that story, oh, a lot of LLPs there. That's so cool. You have that story. Now you need to learn how to craft it, and you need to learn how to craft it compliantly, right? Compliantly. So working with Richard Brooks taught me how to craft my story, a 1-minute story. So I'm going to say that story again. Let me see. Let me smell my Valor first so I do a good job here. So my name's Mary Starr Carter, and prior to finding these products in Young Living, I was in a very dark time in my life. I was failing out of chiropractic school. My parents were going through an awful divorce. I wasn't sleeping well. I just felt like the world was crushing me. And my doctor friend said, you need to meet this lady, Kathy. And Kathy was this bright, passionate mom with all this energy. And she had these little bottles she called Miracles in a Bottle. And I noticed how much energy she did have and her family. So I decided to try them. And immediately I felt better. I was sleeping better. I stopped after a few months, stopped failing out of school. Like I felt like that crutching weight came off of me and the lights just turned back on in my life. And I got such good results. I started sharing. I couldn't stop sharing with people, and created a little side income business, which eventually helped paid off my student loans and helped me just do so much more in the world. I've been able to travel around the world. I'm really big on missions and orphans, and we've been able to give so much to orphans. And now I can stay home. I have a son on a spectrum, and it's just best that he is homeschooled and gets all the services he needs. And Young Living has provided that. So really, there's 3 types of people who are watching my story right now. The first person is thanks, but no thanks. Your story's awesome, Mary. It's not for me. But you know what? Maybe you will refer someone and you will know someone and you could pass it on. I'd appreciate that. The second type of person is, yeah, tell me more about those little miracles in a bottle. I want to know that. That's you. Great. We've got a short presentation you can watch and we can talk more about that. And the third type of person is like, hey, I want to know the whole story. I want to see all of that. We've got a great presentation coming up. It's about 25 minutes and can give you the whole story of what Young Living's about, our products, our income program, all of that. So let me know who you are. Okay, stop. I should have been talking to you. I was talking to you, but I should have had the screen. So that is my 1-minute story, which is recorded, and I put it on YouTube. And that's a story that I use 15 minutes a day when I'm launching, right? Whether you're launching your business or you're in a season of growth, because what I do this month, next month, right? What I do in July, August, and September determines what happens in my Young Living business, October, November, December. It's not just about classes. And I think classes are very important. Getting people to these Zoom informationals is very important. But helping people understand the whole story, most of you will build to just executive and no more because you're not talking about the business. You're not sharing the business. Now, you may not have an income story yet. So your story would sound more like, great, I got such good result with Valor that I'm pretty passionate about sharing these solutions with other people. And I know this isn't for everybody. That's perfectly fine. Thanks for listening. But maybe you know someone and you can refer someone. Or maybe you want to learn more about these products like I did. Or maybe you want to look at the whole story and look at even our income program and how we're serving people all over the world, right? How many of you have plugged into the Thursday night presentations? Nope. Some of you don't know about them. They are phenomenal. They are absolutely amazing. They're done by people all over. It's YL, learn about YL. I have it in here. Let me pull it up. So what if 15 minutes a day, it doesn't even take that long, but I'm a little bit slow. You shared your story. You took out your phone and you looked in your phone and you, okay, I have 200, 300, 800 contacts in there. And maybe some of them are your Young Living clients already. That's fine. But what if you took the time to craft your story? Because I know all of you have a story. Everyone who wrote in the chat, which were there was at least dozens of you, have a story already, right? So how do I start with it? Let's look back here. How do I start with a business? You fall in love with a product. You have a story with a product. Now you craft your story. And crafting your story, let me tell you, even at the level I'm at, when I started working with Richard and he said to do this, I just did it. And one day there was this I hadn't talked to her in 2 decades, but I noticed something on Facebook and I just messaged her. I said, hey, I think, your Facebook might be hacked. Did you start a new account? She goes, oh no, I started a new account. I said, okay. We start a conversation. I'm like, hey, I'm kind of relaunching my business. Would you mind if I shared my story with you? And she said, great. Now, I didn't even have it on a video. I didn't have it that good. I just shared it on Facebook Messenger via the voice. So I just shared my story via the voice. And she goes, yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to get together with you on Zoom. So we got together on Zoom. And I didn't even have a presentation. Like I have them, but I didn't have it organized. It was at the last minute. I wasn't prepared, but I did awful. And she still purchased our starter kit. Now, here's the even better story of this. This woman and I have got to reconnect because of my weight loss story. It's inspired her to get healthy after years and years and use some of the resources that we have in Young Living. So you never know. I know that sounds very scary to share your story with people, and you may not understand all the pieces or parts. But the great thing is there's a class called Momentum Mentorship or Momentum Launch where you can learn to write your story. Okay, so Thursday night's presentation, ylpresentation.com. Go in there, register, and you can get all the notices on when the presentation and the recordings, because maybe some of you do your own classes on Thursdays or you work or whatever. Thursday nights, it's 8 p.m. Eastern. But it is good to be on live. Now, if you host a presentation, I'm going to give you another aha, I guess. Don't forget the close. Remember I told you that Kathy and I, we just ran and did the business. We didn't know what we were doing. We just went out there and we shared. And, but we never asked people for the close for like the first year. The first year, we just give them the information and let them go home. We never said, would you like to purchase these products? Kathy would give like a 30-page handout to people full of testimonials, right? And one page that was ordering. But we never took the orders. We never asked for the close. So a great thing about Thursday night's presentation is the presentation's done for you, right? And at the end, they share, the same thing. Some of you, this isn't for you. Some of you, you'd like to start with our products, and some of you want to get started with a business. So what you do after you invite someone to that presentation and you're on with them, right? You know they're there, or you give them the recording and they've watched it. The next thing you do is you say, what did you like best about what you saw or what you heard, right? What did you like best? This one twist, right? This one dial in for my business has changed everything. I would not have gotten that sale with that woman, Lisa, that when I did the horrible presentation, had I not asked her, because I thought I did horrible. But you will be shocked at what people say. What did you like best about what you heard? Where do you see yourself getting started? Right? And maybe you want to argue with me, well, that sounds manipulative. No, people want to be directed. They want clear, concise follow through, right? They want clear, concise follow through. That's close. So I'm giving you some resources at the end of my talk here. I talked to you about Destiny Global. There's a big group of Young Living people will be in Pensacola. They do it both virtually and live. So we'll be in Pensacola next weekend for the First Steps to Success event. The Momentum membership, pre-launch, launch, leadership. You start with pre-launch, and pre-launch helps you craft your story. And then you go into launch. Launch helps you to expose more people to your business. And then leadership, those of you who have a team, and how do you lead people, right? And there's qualifications for that as well. Make sure you get the 4-year career if you don't already have that. I talked to you about the game plan and game plan mini, probably still 2 of the most successful things I've seen used. Sarah has a lot of great things, but these 2 things for your business are phenomenal. Now, these 2 last things are what were in my life, right? Codependent no more, because that was my personality. And I had to overcome that in business and in life. And then grief recovery. This has been a pivotal thing. Although I haven't done the whole grief recovery program, I've taken pieces of it that have really helped me. So I just wanted to add those in there. So I'm going to stop and thank you all who hung with me all this time. If you have any quick questions, I will take them. I don't want to take a whole lot more of your time. I know you've been on here for a couple of hours. Right? Tell me what you liked best of what you heard. Right? Put it in the chat. What did you like best about what you heard? And if Doris's husband wants to ask some questions, I would love to see if I can answer some of those. Keep things simple.
So.
All right. Are you guys there?
My heart's pounding 100 miles a minute.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was having dinner and I was listening to the portion of the meeting that when you were talking about how it took you 20 something years to reach the diamond. And I was telling Doris, I've been working for a health insurance company for 16 years. And I've only seen a $10 to $12 raise over that period of time because of the percentage increases. And it's part of our story, like of the encouragement for her to continue doing the business at a good pace, because she's a 1 to 2 person sign up just like you. And so it was just really encouraging. I see her like working the business the best she can, 2.5 years. And But here's the thing, like we have health issues, ex-cancer survivor, health issues with our son. There's periods of time sometimes that whether it's mental health or our health, it gets the better of us. And there's those quieter moments throughout the year, and I heard what you were saying, that you went through like 6-month periods where it was quiet, where you weren't really doing the business. And I was just wondering if you had systems in place to carry you through where, it took you to the next level, even though it was a quieter time for you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. What was your name, Doris's husband?
Jason.
Jason.
Yeah.
Jason. Thank you, Jason. Yeah. So when I first had my son, I was paying a young woman who lived in Arizona $10 an hour, I think. And she would just do a little bit of maintenance. I've never built a business where my phone is, or my messenger, or like, I don't have team members who constantly are coming to me. I do, but they're not messaging me. I don't get 4 things a day of, what do you use for this? Or I have this customer service. I created a business with self-motivated, coachable team members. So that is one thing that you really clarify the brand partners you want and also the customers you want. And then having a little bit of help is good. And it might look like something like, say you have a Facebook group and one of your brand partners and you maybe work together, and when you're down, they're up, or something like that, or you find someone to help me. So a lot of my people don't know that a lot of the posting that I do, they're my words, right? But I don't know how to do graphics. I don't know how to do a lot of things. So I say, can you do this? Can you recognize these people? We use Marco Polo. It's not hard. I have higher level skilled people now that I've advanced in rank and they get paid more. But way back when it was, a high school student, $10 an hour. And then the other thing, had I had this tool of my story, it's a very simple thing you can use every day. I've been traveling and still been able to share my story, even though I haven't been doing much else in my business. I've been able to share my story, and people are looking at it. You won't get a whole lot of, or maybe you will, but once you get into more colder markets, Uber drivers, things like that, you'll find you need to keep circling back. Anyway, I'm digging into that. We could talk about that at another time. Any other questions? How do you recommend sharing about your classes and getting people to them? And that was a skill that I learned in Destiny Global, has something called Presentation Success System. And I will tell you a story of Anne. My dear friend Anne, she's such a precious woman, but her first presentation was awful. I mean, awful, stuttering. It's awful. But she had someone there. And because I edified her and she edified me, so the skill of edification, the person who attended, their brain wasn't on how awful Anne was in her just, giving the presentation. It was the stories, the presentation had stories. What we did before the presentation, how we closed it at the end actually made the sale. So I always tell that story as that the success of getting people to the presentation is all how you're edifying it. A lot of people say my Essential Oil 101 class. I'm not a big fan about that. I'm more about when you market for what are the results people are going to get. Come learn how to sleep through the night. Come learn how to drop, 5 pounds in the next 3 weeks. Come learn how to get your babies sleeping through the night or sleeping better, right? So market those. So my ratio with warm market now, because I got my skills so high, is more like 8 out of 10, right? And in my cold market is 4 out of 10 because of my skills. What is the first thing you do when a new member says they want to do the business? I get so many of that say they want to do the business. I can't get the movie. The first thing we do is we set up a time and say, great. So who asked that? Charla. Okay, Charla. Great. So the first thing to starting your business, I know you have your story. You love digize oil and stuff like that. I'm going to help you really craft a story so you can share with others, and it'll be super easy. But a lot of people tell me they want to do the business, but they actually never follow through. So here's 2 simple things that I need you to do in the next 24 to 48 hours. Okay. And that is to write me your goals. No, not necessarily like what you want in Young Living. You may know the ranks and stuff already, but what do you want? Like Anne's goal was to get a laptop. She wanted to start giving $100 a month to a couple charities. She wanted to travel to see a certain part of the United States with her family, right? So give me your 10 goals. You want to get your daughter into private school. You want to pay off this $25,000 in debt. Whatever it is, write out those 10 goals. And then I also have people do a resource list. Because Charlotte, when we get started, we need to practice. We're not going to be great at this, whether it's presentations or sharing our story. We're going to need people to practice with. So when we meet, I want you to write down a list of resources. And resources are people you know of, maybe people who you know who are already really good at business. Maybe they run a successful salon. Maybe it's your aunt, your uncle, people you love. I want you to circle the people who love you and that you may find that we can practice on. So if they do that at our next meeting, so say we meet on Wednesday morning, they have already emailed me their goals and that, and then we take those goals. Oh, and the other thing I added to that too is time. Tell me in the week, how many hours you think you could fit in your business? Anywhere from 4 to 10, depending on what your goals are. We'll figure that out. But we do have to find some time to actually work in the business and then maybe do some training as well. Okay, so they come back, they give me that. And then we go through the goals and we take the income disclosure agreement, and based on their goals and we talk about like how is it 6 months, 2 years, 5 years? Like we go through that and then we decide together on what level, what rank, what position in the company they need to get to. And I never, ever sell the business that they could do that, in 6 months. Do people do it? They do. But I don't want people in my business just for 6 months. I want them for the long haul. Hopefully that was good and I didn't see. Do I do hostess gifts? Yes, usually diffusers, right? We just got a bunch of desert mist diffusers. We're awesomely discounted. Maybe you were at convention, you got the BOGO room or the bargain tent, you got some things. But the other thing is your giveaways and for your trade shows, be careful with that too, because you have a basket full of products that nobody maybe has ever heard about versus have a basket with like a thieves cleaner, something inexpensive and an Amazon gift card or a Panera gift card or something like that. Wrap your head around that. Most people, even to some of your classes, if you want a good number of people to your classes, you could start with a $10 Amazon gift card, right? What do you do when you truly have no more people? Okay, so this is when you have to learn to network and make connections. So Sarah says teaching. That's true. But, the story she always tells too about her sister Rachel is Rachel did 11 classes, or maybe it was 13 before she had her first enrollment. Like she had no show after no show after no show. I think out of 11 classes, one person came. So all of us are going to go through seasons of that. And some of us are going to have a larger, warmer market than others. So if you do not have that, and Richard talks a lot about this too, you have to develop the skill of connecting with people, of networking, of finding things that you love to do naturally and develop authentic relationships with those people. So for me, since I move all the time, that's been through homeschooling groups that I'm a part of, or my new church that I'm a part of. And I don't go into that situation with like, oh, I'm here for, my Young Living business. I give value, I serve, I help. And when people want to know more about what I do, when I develop that relationship, then I invite them to a women's night, right? So lately, what's been most successful for me local is hosting like a women's spa night and then making them watch a video while they're relaxing and using oils and stuff like that. So that's been fun. I do use social media too, to create connections as well. Okay. I think, Stacy, we are at the top of the hour. I appreciate everyone, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I don't know if I'm in charge of ending this, or Danette, or.
No, I am, but
Okay.
thank you very much for all this information and all the links that people are putting out there with connecting with what you're saying. People have been paste copying those, I'm sure, and looking forward for you next Monday to share the rest of your story. And if you did come at the end of this call, every Monday night, we do have a call on health at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then one on business at 8 p.m. Eastern. And this is the Monday Night Ignite calls. And just thank you everyone for coming. And we'll get these replays on Grow, and then perhaps in the groups that you're already in where you found this from in the beginning. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mary, for all of your information and your heart to help serve, and just your connection with Young Living and the longevity that you've had here with so much experience, and just what a fabulous opportunity is for all of us to hear you speak. So appreciate it.
Yeah. Bye, everyone. Have a great night. Bye. Bye, Eileen.